In the words of Grandmaster Flash, he's out of jail and out on bail just to commit more crime, so don't do it. But that gives me an opportunity to talk about bail. What's inspired this? It's actually, you may have seen in the news that a firearms officer has been charged with murder. And initially was remanded in custody, albeit for a very short time. Now, I'm obviously not going to discuss the merits of the case, but why was that? Well, basically, all cases start in the magistrate's court. Your first appearance is always in the magistrate's court. And for a lot of offences, if you're in custody, if you've been arrested and held at the police station, that will be your first opportunity to apply for bail. However, when it comes to murder, magistrates cannot grant bail. That can only be granted by the Crown Court. So the usual procedure in a murder is the case is sent to the Crown Court to be dealt with. And as part of that, you'll make the bail application at your first appearance at the Crown Court. In this particular case, they did the transfer very quickly. So he was produced in the morning at the magistrate's court, remanded in custody. But then his case was transferred to the Crown Court, and they made a bail application, and that was successful. But generally speaking, that's unusual because there is a presumption of bail in this country. So if you're arrested, you should be bailed. And the only reason for refusing bail is if the Crown can show substantial grounds for believing one of the following. Failure to attend at court in future, commit further offences, or interfere with witnesses, or otherwise sort of try to affect the outcome of the hearing. It used to be you could be refused bail for your own protection, but that seems to have not survived some human rights challenges. So those are the grounds that the prosecution would have to show. They only have to actually show one of those grounds. And then the defence can argue why those grounds either don't apply, or they can suggest bail conditions. So, for instance, they might say, if there's an interfering with witnesses potential issue, they might say, must not approach certain people, or must not go into a certain area, or must abide by a curfew, or remain in a particular area. We used to have what we call reporting. I mean, that still exists. That's where you have to go to the police station, either twice a day or once a week or whatever period, and sign on just to show you still exist. We also used to argue that that was more annoying and inconvenient for the police, actually. You can also do doorstep curfews. That's where you have to be in your property or at a residence between certain hours, and the police are allowed to knock on your door, and you have to come to the door. There's also tagging, things like that. Basically, you can be as imaginative as you want when you're suggesting conditions. People also post securities or sureties. A surety is where somebody comes and says, right, look, I will stake a sum of money to guarantee this person turns up at court. You don't actually have to have the money with you, you have to show you're good for it. But then if the person does fail to attend, you lose that money, you have to pay it. You might remember that happened in the Assange case where lots of people had put sureties up. And then when he absconded, when he went to hide in the embassy, all that money was taken off of them. A security is where you yourself put money, although that's considered to be, that's not a very common one, that, because basically rich people can buy their way out of custody. But there you go, that's the sort of general principles. So if you're wondering why he was remanded in custody initially, that's just because the magistrates don't have the power to grant bail. But there you go, if you ever find yourself in the unfortunate position where you are arrested, start thinking of some reasons why the Crown's suspicions against you are not sustainable, or at least some conditions that can allay their fears. Anyway, if you found that interesting, please consider clicking the like button, sharing and subscribing.